time approaches to review another Killswitch Engage album. This time I'm going to be taking a look at their second studio album, Alive or Just Breathing. So it was released in 2002, and it was often cited for being their heaviest, most aggressive sounding album to date. It also holds a lot of my favorite songs from the band, so needless to say I hold this album in high regards. It's very heavy, as I said before, very aggressive, and it has a lot of unique things about it. So today I'm going to be reviewing the deluxe version that came out in 2005. The original came out in 2002, had 12 songs on it. This version has 15, including 3 demos and a disc or a version of the track Fixation on the Darkness with Howard Jones singing. So it's very interesting to note, especially with that song, there are 3 versions of it. Fixation on the Darkness original, the demo, which is known as Transfiguration, don't ask me why they chose to name it that, as well as the version with Howard Jones on vocals, both of which are good, all of which are good actually, but the demo version just ends up sounding like an underproduced version of the original, which isn't a bad thing. It is very raw and very aggressive still, and you can see where they were getting it from, so they just really upped the ante, and you can see where the original song came in through, and how they pretty much just built up upon that. So, Fixation on the Darkness, one of my favorite Killswitch Engage songs. As well as the first song, Numbered Days, it just has that riff, a borderline thrashy riff. It's very heavy, very aggressive, and very atmospheric, especially in the beginning with the "This is the voice of the voiceless," the part that begins with that, the talking, the speaking, as well as just the structure of the song overall. The screams in Numbered Days are excellent, and the guitar tone, as I said before, is fantastic. Very reminiscent of Euthanasia from Megadeth. Just the heaviness of the guitars in that album were just fantastic, and they're fantastic here. It sounds amazing. So, Self-Revolution's the next one. It's pretty good. Not really one of my favorite songs on the album, but it is a standout. Fixation on the Darkness, like I said before, very good, very straightforward, and I like the Jesse version just a titch better. And it's very heavy. It's got that groove to it. It's got a very groovy intro too. Groovy sounds like Scooby-Doo, but like groove metal style intro. And My Last Serenade is one of those that is very aggressive and very hard hitting, and there's actually a lot of metalcore like screaming moments in there. However, it's very melodic in its own right, which is really interesting to note because it's actually supposed to be a ballad, and you can hear that in the chorus. The cleans in this song are really some of the best I've seen from Jesse Leach in this era. So, really, my hat's off to you. I really like this song, and it's very good. One of their best, if I do say so myself. So, like I said, very, very hard, heavy-hitting, but also very melodic. And usually when you put those two genres together, those two types of music, it ends up just colliding and sounding like a jumbled-up mess. But they actually did it very well in this song. So, like I said, props. Life to Lifeless, this is one where it really sounds like a Pantera vibe. I'm really getting that Pantera, like, vulgar display of power / Far Beyond Driven days, somewhere in between there. It just sounds very reminiscent of groove metal and just Pantera overall, especially the drumming. The drumming is really profound in this track, and I really like the melody, as well as the screaming. The screaming is really good. So, there's a lot of vocal harmonies as well that go along with that in the chorus. So, really like that song, Life to Lifeless, To Eternity, Life to Lifeless, the cycle repeats. The vocal harmony in that really sounds good, and it really complements the song overall. So the structure is very simplistic, but it is very, very good. So, Just Barely Breathing, this is the title track. This one opens up with more of like an eerie style riff, and clean guitar tone, not really distorted, but then it gets really aggressive, really in your face, and just really fast. I really like the song. Screams are really a standout moment on this, as well as the drums. The drumming is really good on this song as well. The next song, To the Sons of Man, or I should say intro, is more of like a screaming intro. It's more of an unclean kind of intro into Temple from the Within, which is a remake of a song that was on the prior album that I actually just reviewed about a couple days ago-ish, something like that. But like I said, every single song that was remade on this album, I like the remakes a lot better than the originals. So, just goes to show how far the band has come since their heyday or their debut in 2000, I should say. This was more so their heyday, if not continuing on into this generation in 2013 with Disarm the Descent. So, that being said, the Element of One This one is another melodic one. It has that melodic intro and just some really soothing style clean vocals, and then it gets into really unclean, aggressive tone, just like the rest of the album. It's really heavy and really hard hitting. So, really like the song. Vita Infra, this is one of my favorites. I really like the low pitch screams versus sort of like the mid tone pitch scream on their original. It just sounds very, very heavy, very aggressive, and just very angry, actually. This is probably the angriest song on the album, Vita Infra. I really like the screams in this album, or on this track anyways. And it's a very fast, hard-hitting, heavy track. Very good. Without a Name, this one's just another intro, but it doesn't scream exactly. It's more of like just an instrumental kind of guitar intro leading into Rise Inside, which is the last song on the standard edition of the album. So that caps off all 12 hits, all 12 tracks, and then the bonus tracks begin with In the Unblind, which is actually a song that was released on their self-titled debut. No idea why they decided not to include it on the original version of Alive or Just Breathing, but I actually do like this version a lot better. Like I said, I like both of them, but this one just sounds a lot more heavy, and it's a little bit faster, just barely noticeable faster, and the vocals are a lot better, and the screaming and the drumming is a lot more profound, especially the drumming. The drumming really deserves props on this song. Then we get into Untitled and Unloved. Not really one of my favorite songs, but it is worth listening to. It is a really good song, but I'm just not really that big of a fan of it. But yeah, let's see. And then we got the 3 demo versions of Numbered Days, Fixation on the Darkness, and Just Barely Breathing. They basically sound like, self-titled debut versions of the songs that appear on the album. So a little bit more underproduced, and of course, like I said, demo quality, of course. But they are very raw, they are still very heavy, and they retain their structure. So basically, you just get a glimpse of what the songs sounded like when they were in production. So it's pretty interesting to listen to. The next one is Fixation on the Darkness with Howard Jones. And I gotta say, I don't really know what to think of this one. I really like it. I don't know if I necessarily like it better than the original Fixation in the Darkness, but I really love the chorus. The chorus is probably my favorite part of the Howard Jones version because he just practically nails it. His voice is perfectly suited for this song. It's mostly cleans anyways, and it sounds really good. It ends up just flowing very nicely. So, Howard just took this song and made it his own. I'm actually really impressed. So, the next one is, of course, Alive or Just Breathing studio outtakes, so I don't really need to say my thoughts on this one. It's just them fucking around and then playing the intro to Alive or Just Breathing. Not really a good closer. I would have rather just kept it off and maybe included it on some, outtake disc or something, or a demo disc. Maybe just include all the old demos, release it later. But, yeah, it's still kind of a neat little thing to put on it, I guess. Maybe if it was towards the middle of the album or a little bit right after the bonus tracks. But yeah, overall, this album is one of the best metalcore releases. It's very intense, it's very aggressive, and very angry sounding in many of the tracks. And even the ballad sounds angry. My Last Serenade, they can even make ballads sound aggressive. Killswitch Engage are my favorite metalcore band at the moment, so hats off to them. I really like their work. Overall, I probably give this album, same score as I gave it last time, 9.6 out of 10. It's not perfect, but it is an amazing addition to add to your collection, so I highly recommend it. Thank you very much for watching. This is Midnight Strike 3625. Keep calm and rock on.